लाइक, शेयर, सब्सक्राइब ये इस चैनल के 3 स्तंभ हैं। इन्हें दबाइए और आगे की वीडियो को एंजॉय करें।
Namaste and welcome back. So till now we have seen that linear regression is good for a regression problem for predicting quantitative responses, how we use least squares to obtain the best fit line. So now the question arises that is linear regression is good for classification or not? So I think this video will answer that. Let's start. Before starting with the reason why linear regression is not good for classification, I would like to point out one simple thing, that linear regression or any regression algorithm would be good for any response that is quantitative. Okay, they are only good for quantitative response, while the classification deals with the qualitative response. Okay, so the main reason why linear regression cannot be used for classification problem is model assumes order. If you understand this statement, you can easily understand why linear regression is not that good for classification problem. So let us try to start with a classification problem or with a qualitative response. Okay, let us assume that we are given y is equal to three categories. Suppose we are predicting some kind of disease. Okay, so the first one is drug overdose. Third one would be cancer, and the third one would be stroke. Okay, so these are our three categories for the problem, and now let us try to fit a linear regression to this problem. Now the first thing, we should convert this qualitative response to a quantitative response. So the most easy method is just mapping the responses. So let's try to assume that drug overdose means 1, cancer means 2, and the stroke means 3. So I would have my new target variable as 1, 2 and 3. Okay, for drug overdose, for cancer and for stroke. So after obtaining these mapping, we can understand why linear regression is not capable of doing any classification, because what a model will perceive from this mapping is that any person for drug overdose would be at same distance from cancer. Okay, and a person having a cancer would be a same distance away from stroke. But the case where the drug overdose and stroke are at different distances, this what model assumes, but this is not the actual case. So what I am trying to say is these three categories are nominal. Okay, these three categories are nominal, while 1, 2, 3 as model perceives is ordinal. So we are just adding a rank to each of our responses, each of our targets. So this is the most major problem, that if there are no order, then also while mapping it to the numbers, the 1, 2, 3, okay, then we are imparting a kind of order to linear regression. So that is called model assumes order. Even though 1, 2, 3 can be nominal also, but in case of linear regression, while we are differentiating the RMSE value, or we are optimizing cost function, it will assumes an order in 1, 2 and 3. So this is the main reason why linear regression is not so good for classification for 2 plus categories, that is for 2 plus orders. But now let us see what happens in a binary classification. Suppose that we have only two classes, that is stroke and let us say cancer. Okay, so we'll take this 0, this is 1, or this is 1, this is 0. In both the cases, linear regression will try to predict similar things. Hence, for only binary cases, we can say that linear regression is somewhat capable of doing classification. And the linear regression would be predicting between values 0 to 1. Okay, between 0 to 1 and beyond 0 and beyond 1 also. So what the machine learners have said, that the predictions from these model can be interpreted as probability of any category, just say stroke, given all the features. This is a very crude, very naive approach of seeing a model, a linear model predicting probabilities. Surely we will have some probabilities or some predictions which are greater than 1 or which are smaller than 0. That is why they say that this is a very crude term, very crude method to term this as a probability, the predictions as a probability of stroke or cancer. Okay, so in this case, in when stroke is 0, cancer is 1, this is the probability of cancer, and in this case where stroke is 1, this would be the probability of stroke, the predictions. Okay, now third main point is that if we have an ordinal responses, then can we use linear regression or not? This is another question. So the answer to this question is yes. Okay, to some extent, if our the categories are ordinal, we have order, just like say prediction would be good, bad, or excellent. Okay, if this is our three categories in case of classification, then surely it has an order and we can use linear regression to predict these categories. Okay, if we impart order, then also it will not affect the performance of linear regression. Hence, when we have 2 plus categories which are nominal, then linear regression won't work that way. But if we have a binary classes, or we have classes that have an order that belongs to ordinal category, then linear regression can work and you would be able to train and optimize the model.